Hi guys, Jordan from B&B Campers. Just going to be doing a handover video on this 2004 AutoTrail Tracker. It's a Tracker SE and it is based on the Fiat Ducato chassis. So what I'll do is I'll start over here on the left hand side and run you through under the bonnet first. So we've got the engine battery over here on the left, a couple of relays and some fuses towards the back just there. That's all to do with the split charging side of things from there. You've got your brake fluid and servo just behind there. Engine oil filling point is that one just there at the top of the engine, and your yellow dipstick is there for the oil as well. You've got your power steering fluid inside this reservoir just here, and you can see there it should be a little bit of a red colour. A few more fuses and relays and bits under here. You've got your stage 2 chassis plate just here, so this is once it's been converted. You've then got your engine coolant in this reservoir at the top, air filter, and your washer fluid inside here. Diesel filling point is just behind this little cover here, so you push that open and that'll open up from the side. And there's not really much to show you inside the passenger side, so I'll just show you inside the driver's side quickly. So in the cab in itself, you've got a couple of things, not much really, but you've got your steering column adjustments from here. Your engine or bonnet release handle is this one just down here in front of the clutch pedal. You've got a single DIN JVC head unit up there. Reversing camera up the top just there, that's what's the center screen just there. You've got these swivel front seats, so you can swivel the front seats around and you pull the seats forward from this little handle here at the front. You've got the original tyre pressures and things just here on this little bit of paper here, so you can see that there should be about 70 psi front and back. But yeah, so that's about it really for the cab and under the bonnet. So the rest of the vehicle is all kind of, well, if we carry on the outside, we've got the external lockers here. So this first one we get to on the driver's side is just a large storage locker. You got your steadies, winder just there. You've got your mains electric hookup. So if you do have access to a hookup cable, that is where you would have it plugged in, and that'll give you access to using any of your 240 volt appliances and any 3-pin sockets. Boiler vent is this one just here, so if you did have the boiler lit up on gas, you can double check that it's working by putting your hand either side of this vent just here. We've then got your external hot and cold water point. Your wastewater drain off point is this one just down here on the side. And we've got the toilet cassette locker just here. So we've got a 10 litre Thetford toilet cassette. And to empty that out, we twist this cap here at the top and empty it from here. Whilst you're emptying it out, you should be holding down this little yellow button at the back. And that's what will release the pressure from inside of the cassette. At the back of the van, we've got your reversing camera, tow bar, and your spare wheel will normally sit inside this lower locker just here. Right, so the next one we get to is this one here, which is your gas locker. This is your LPG locker. So you have got space in here for one 13 kilo bottle if you wanted a 13 kilo. Otherwise, it's just going to be this 6 kilo layout. You can actually obviously have two of these 6 kilo bottles next door to each other. So to turn the bottle on, you go anti-clockwise around to the left, and to turn it off, we go clockwise all the way down round to the right. All the rest of the stuff on the regulator in there, you don't have to worry about any of that. That's all just for our testing purposes. And yeah, that's about it really. So rest of the vehicle, what have we got? So we've got an external gas point just here. Your freshwater filling point is this one next door to that as well. And you've also got an external mains socket. So if you wanted an external mains power, obviously bearing in mind that your hookup cable does have to be plugged in on the other side in order for that to work, but that is your external mains socket. So you've also got the option of this door just here, the fly screen door, so you can have that all the way across and have it locked in by pulling this all the way across. Or if you don't want to use that, you can come it back here and push that so that it locks in behind there. So that's now locked together with the actual door itself. You have obviously got the wind out awning overhead just here as well, but you know, I can't really get them out with one hand on the videos. So speaking of the awning, you've got your awning winder just here inside the habitation door. So essentially it's as easy as putting this little end here into the awning and winding it out until you can reach it, popping the legs down and securing it in place. So it really is straightforward. I have actually got on this channel, I have got a video of how to use the awnings on the motorhomes. Now they are all slightly different, but it is always good to have a look at that just so you can see, generally speaking, how to use them. So we've got some storage up there. We've got the storage up and above the cab in this one here as well. Just have a little look in these cupboards. See if there's anything I'm missing. A little power socket in there. And there we go, that's what I was looking for. So pretty much all AutoTrails like this, especially of this particular sort of age, are powered by one of these Sergeant units. So this is your power supply unit, you'd call it. This particular one's an EC200 and probably means that you've got the correlating control panel. Yes, you do. So the power supply unit here is basically the brain of the vehicle, if you like, or the heart of the vehicle more so, because this sort of all of the power, whether it's mains power or 12-volt power, runs to this one box here and then gets sent around the vehicle to wherever it needs to go to. So this really is the center of the vehicle when it comes to electronics. So you've got all on the left hand side here, you've got this big diagram which tells you exactly what each one of these 8 fuses does and what the 3 MCBs do on the right. Okay, so let's just say, for example, we come into the van one day, we turn the power on, we can see that we've got power, which I'll show you how to do in a minute, but we can't get any lights to come on. I would come into here and have a little look and see there, look, front lights and rear lights. So decide for yourself, is it the rear lights, is it the front lights? And then you can have a little look and just check the fuse. It's just a case of popping the little cover off and having a little look at the fuse, and it will tell you up here as well what size and colour that fuse should be. Same goes for the mains. If you plug the mains cable in but you can't get anything to work on the mains, have a little look in here and make sure all of your trip switches are up. It also means that if you do have that problem and something makes it trip, you can turn them all on one by one and work out which one won't stay up. So that'll tell you what the problem is. So that is, you know, it's a really handy thing to know that this is your sort of power supply. This is what controls the vehicle, tells it, you know, that's what sends the power off around the vehicle. So that is a very important cupboard in this particular vehicle. On that same note, we've got the control panel up here above the door. Now, as I say, this is more like the brain of the vehicle, where it sort of tells the vehicle what to do around the vehicle. So you've got the main power switch up here on the top left hand side. That will turn all of the 12-volt power to all of your lights, all of your ignitions, all that sort of stuff. It will turn all of that off at once. So that is your main on and off switch. You've then got your water pump switch just here. Turn that on and off as and when you need it. Auxiliary is a handy one to have switched on, because basically what auxiliary will do is power certain things on the 12-volt. Now you might find, you may or may not find that the auxiliary switch doesn't actually do anything, or you might find that it might do sort of unusual things, like maybe powering this roof fan or whatever it might be. They're all very slightly different. I didn't do the hab check on this particular vehicle, so I don't know exactly what it does. But it's one of those things that, you know, you might find that if you have it off, you'll be trying to use something one day and you'll think, oh, actually, maybe I need to have that aux switch on. It's just a 12-volt isolator for certain things in the vehicle. They're all different. So have a little play with that and see if you can sort of work out what it does exactly. It won't be anything major. It might just be those sockets in that cupboard, or it might be that fan on the ceiling. It's, yeah, small things really. And the last switch on this left-hand side here, this one here on the top right-hand side, is basically your battery selector. Now, you've got two options in the motorhomes. You've got the option of using your leisure battery, which is the one that really you're going to want to be using day to day. So you want to use the leisure battery for powering the lights, for doing things in the back end of the vehicle, basically. What you don't want to do is use your engine battery's voltage to power the lights and do things you want to do in the back end. For obvious reasons, you don't want to drain your engine battery out of power, otherwise you will not be able to start the vehicle. So the only time that you would ever want to press this button and switch over to the engine battery, which is what that does, is if you had the electric hookup plugged in. Not only does it switch the power over to drawing power from the engine battery, it also starts sending that mains power to the engine battery as well. So if you wanted to charge your engine battery via your electric hookup, you have to press this button on just here. Okay, so now, because I haven't got an electric hookup plugged in, I've got that button there switched on. And if I go ahead and start turning on my lights from all the various switches that there are for the lights around the vehicle, now, as in right now, all of the lights that I've got on are being powered by the engine battery. And after a little while, just like any other battery, that engine battery will go flat and we will not be able to start the vehicle anymore. So for the most part, you do not want to have this light turned on. It's only, as I said, it's only for if you want to charge your engine battery up via the hookup cable that you would have that switch turned on. Other than that, you've got basically your level indicators and things. So if I go back to the main home screen, this is telling us it's an EC200 control panel correlating with the EC200 power supply unit. It's version 1.2. You've got the time, temperature, and then from there you've got timers, alarm set. You can set the time. Water tank fill, you haven't got to worry about that. Pump select, trying to think, you haven't got an external pump, so again, just leave that on internal. Wastewater level and freshwater level. You then got your vehicle battery voltage, leisure battery voltage, and then you're back to the home screen. So that is your sort of the general way to use the vehicle. That's the general run over of the 240 volt and the mains power inside the vehicle. Sorry, the camera's a little bit blurry today for some reason. So that's the general idea with the power. To the right of this, you've got this little section over here. So this is two switches just here for over counter lights, or over covered lights I should say. To the left, we've got your boiler on gas. All right, so that's your water, the hot water on gas. And to the right, we've got your heating on mains. That might seem a little bit confusing because they're two different things and two different energies, but it's just the way that they do it. So if we start off with the boiler, so I'm going to just run you through how to use the boiler on gas and electric. Just completely forget that I said anything about the heating for now. Assuming that we've got water in the boiler itself, which, just briefly, the only way to check that you've got water inside the boiler is to make sure that you've got water coming through the hot side of your tap. So the hot side of your tap should always be to the left. And if you've got a nice, clear, steady stream of water coming through the tap on the hot side of the tap, your boiler is definitely full. The other thing to check when it comes to checking if the boiler's full or not is down here in the wardrobe, underneath this cover, you have got this little yellow tab, which, as you can see right now, is laying down flat, horizontal. So that, in its position where it's in now, is in its closed position. So any water that goes to the boiler will stay inside of it. If I lifted that little tab vertical, so it's facing us right now, any water that went to the boiler and also all of the water inside of it would drain out onto the floor. So that is your boiler drain off point. So as long as that's in the closed position where it is now, you will then be able to fill the boiler up just by drawing the water through the hot side of that tap until it starts coming through. Once you've done that, you can go ahead and use the boiler however you want to. So to light the boiler up on the gas, you switch this dial once to the right like so, and the boiler lights straight up. You've then got on the inside of that, you've got your temperature selector, which is from 30 all the way through to 70, and that'll just basically depict how much hot water you can use at once and the temperature that it gets to. Back to the 0 turns the boiler off. If you want to heat your water up via the electric, if you've got the electric hookup plugged in, you've also got a switch just inside the wardrobe here that says water, and if you press that one on there, after about half an hour or so, you'll have hot water inside that boiler. So that is your hot water via electric. So in regards to the heating, as I said a minute ago, you have got the option up here of using the heating on electric if you've got the electric hookup plugged in. So you've got the option of 500, 1,000 or 2,000 watts. They all correlate to a certain amount of amps, which is the one that you actually need to look at really. So if you say, you know, go to a campsite and you've got a 10 amp pole that you're plugged into, if you use 2,000 watts up here, you're going to be drawing about 8 amps straight away just from that one unit. So it's important to remember that, and just bear in mind that if you are plugged into a 10 amp pole or whatever size pole you're plugged into, if you use it on 2,000 watts, you're going to be drawing 8 amps of your correlated, you know, the amount that you've been given. So just bear that in mind. 500 or 1,000 I would always recommend to be better. But before you do that, if you want to use the heating on the mains, obviously, as I say, that's when your hookup's plugged in. Before you go and select a number up there on the right hand side, you do have to make sure that your heating switch down here is turned on. These numbers up here won't even illuminate, they won't do anything at all unless you turn that heating switch on inside the wardrobe first. All right, if you don't want to use the heating on the mains and you want to use it on the gas, you come down here to the actual heater itself, which is this unit down here, and you've got a couple of things that I need to run through. So what you've got essentially is a little peephole down here, which is what this little hole is down here on the front, and what it does is give you, you probably can't see it, but just there inside that hole where you can see a little black or a dark spot is a little glass viewing screen. Now, just like any sort of old school boiler or anything like that, or even a gas heater, that is just essentially your peephole to see the flame. So if I just show you how it works, straight away all I've done is I've turned the valve around to about 2 or 3, and all that's doing at the moment is sending off the spark down to the actual chamber. So you probably won't be able to see it. Oh yeah, just about see that flashing away. Now, so doing that just by turning it around to there and not pressing the actual valve in, it's just literally sending a spark. That's all it's doing, no gas whatsoever. If I want to send gas down to it and actually light the pilot flame up, I push down on this, and if we watch what happens when I push down on it, there you go, got your pilot flame now. And so what I'm going to do now is just hold this down for a few seconds just to warm it up. I do the same on all of these heaters, not just this one. Just allow it to warm up for a minute. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to lift up on this valve and twist it all the way around to about 7 or 8. If you watch what happens when I do that. So I have now lifted up. Our main flame tries to kick in straight away, and I've turned it around to 7 or 8. It's just struggling to stay on a little bit, and now it's kicked properly in, and I have completely let go of that valve now, and it's still on. So that process just there is all you need to do to light this heater up on gas. That's literally all you have to do. So that'll keep going until it gets to its kind of temperature that you've set it to. And then as it gets to that temperature, the pilot flame will just kick back in, or the main flame will kick in and out basically. And it will just do that for as long as you need it to. Over on the right, you have also got the fan setting on here. So if I push this little button to the left, that one there, and then choose my fan speed, really nice and easy, that will then start pumping hot air around to these little circular vents. And that turns all the way back around to 0. Make sure the flame's gone out. And that's it. That is how you would use this heater on the gas and the mains. Right, so you've also got in this particular model of AutoTrail, you've got this full-sized range cooker. Now the range on these ones, they do give you the option of the mains ring on the back left corner there. So again, that's another thing that will not work unless the electric hookup is plugged in. So you can have the option of 1 all the way through to 6 on there, assuming that the hookup's plugged in. You've then got all of the burners. So you've got top right, bottom right, and bottom left, which is a little bit awkward to reach because I've only got one hand. So there you go. All 3 of those working really nicely. You've then obviously got the grill underneath there and oven at the bottom. The oven is the one on the right hand side here. The grill is this one just here. They all work, apart from the electric one obviously, with the ignition switch just there. And the only thing I'd like to mention on that, I mean it's so straightforward, but the only thing I do mention is please, please, please allow all of this to cool right down before you think about closing that glass lid down. That will obviously sound like a really stupid thing to have to say, but sometimes it does say at the top there, don't close the lid down on the flame. I mean that's really obvious. Don't put the lid down whilst it's actually lit. But really, it is just so important. You need to make sure that they all cool down before you put the lid down. Otherwise it will break. It's not the end of the world if it does, because we can get a hold of these lids, but you obviously don't want that to happen, and it makes a real mess. So there you go. So we've then got the 3-way fridge. So when I say a 3-way fridge, I mean it works on gas, 240 volt and 12 volt. So you've got 3 different energies in order to cool this fridge down. So first things first, the only 2 energies that will get the fridge cold from warm, so like when I came to the fridge today and it wasn't cold whatsoever and I wanted to cool it down, I've put it on gas. But the only other option that you've got there is mains. So the 240 volt one there, as well, it says 230 volt, same thing really. So the reason for that is the 12 volt one down here, first of all, it only works when your engine's running. All right, so that's not really any good. You don't want to have your engine running for 3 hours whilst you cool your fridge down. But also the 12 volt element isn't really powerful enough to get the fridge cold by itself. So all it's really there for is holding the temperature inside the fridge for when you're driving. So the idea behind it is you get the fridge cold before you leave, either on gas or electric hookup if you have one plugged in. And then, that would take a good 3 hours or so, especially when there's things inside of it. And then once you're ready to go and you've had the fridge going for a little while and it's already cold, you just switch over to 12 volt whilst you're driving, and that'll stay cold on the move. When you get to wherever you're going, switch back to one of the other 2, so either gas or 230 volt, and the fridge will just do its thing. You've got a temperature gauge on the right hand side here, and that's it. Really, really simple. So the bathroom, you've got a switch just here, which will turn the lights on and off from there. You've got the pull-out shower point just here, so it doubles up as a sink. So you can basically push this all the way back in like it is now and use it as a sink, or a tap for the sink, sorry. Or you can pull it all the way out and hook it up into the actual shower head holder. So that's how you would use the shower just there. Obviously the shower tray is in good condition there as well. The actual toilet itself, the toilet cassette, very, very simple to use. you've essentially got a little grey handle just here, which opens and closes the toilet cassette's flap. When you want to flush the toilet, you press this little blue button here at the back. The water pump switch will need to be turned on in order for that to work. But basically, push and hold on the button there to fill the bowl up, and then open the flap to drain it into the cassette. You do need to make sure that you push this flap back over before you start, putting the lid down and forgetting about it. 2 reasons for that. One, if you leave the flap open, everything that's inside of that cassette is going to spill out its smell into the vehicle, which obviously isn't very nice. And the other reason is that if you don't close that lid completely over, you will not be able to take the cassette out from outside, because when it's open, it's locked. So if you have that cassette lid open and you do take the cassette out from outside, or you manage to, I can guarantee you that you would have broken it. So it's really important to make sure that you close that flap back over every time you've finished. Other than that, I don't really think there's much else, to be honest. Yeah, so I don't think I've missed anything out, but if I have, just let us know and we'll go through anything that we need to go through with you. But otherwise, we look forward to seeing you soon. Thanks very much.